Let Fionna say fuck. Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today I am here with my blind reaction to Fionna and Cake episode 2. So last week we did the first episode of this Adventure Time spin-off, and it was really good. It was very mature and more adult than you would expect, but as I believe I stated before, it is on like Max. It is a streaming show, so it makes sense that it would be, more mature. It makes sense that they could get away with a lot more. Um, but seeing Fionna just strip in the middle of the street and then do the equivalent of flipping off her boss, it's just like, oh, was not expecting that. I believe I talked about it last time, but the basic thought that goes through my head with it is that Fionna and Cake is meant for the audience that grew up with Adventure Time. It's kind of meant as a more mature follow up to that. And so it's going to be, again, not only because it's on streaming, getting away with a lot more, but because it's meant for that older audience. And that's kind of seemingly what they're going for. Because even the story and general gist of it, the way they focus on things like, adult issues like taxes and whatnot, it's done in a way to where it's like, yeah, this feels more like it's meant for like older teens, young adults who, again, grew up with Adventure Time. And I compared it to like Legend of Korra as a series that, focuses on some more mature topics than Last Airbender did. Even as mature as Last Airbender could be. It just focused on that with older characters and stuff, and this seems to be doing the same. Because you take a character who, in the original series, through Ice King stories and all, is representing the same age as Finn, and now you have her as like a full-blown young adult having to deal with like young adult problems. And so it's like, yeah, you get the gist of it all. She's her own character now. She's not a fan fiction fill-in for Finn, and instead like is going through those kind of problems. And I want to hear her say fuck. Or just, swear in general. I want to hear this series like really go all the way with this kind of idea. And realistically, I'm not expecting her to say fuck. I'm not expecting like anything that big in this. But like someone saying like damn or something would be good enough. I want to hear like an actual swear word. I feel like that would really prove how this series is more for adults. And I just feel like it would be really fun to hear it as well. Because again, Adventure Time could push the envelope with a lot of things. It went surprisingly hard on a lot of types of content. But I want to see. I want to see it actually become like a fully adult series in this regard. Maybe that's just me. I think it would just be a fun concept. Either way. Yeah, I don't know what else to expect. We're seeing that like Cake, who is a normal cat at this moment, is trying to lead Fionna to something. We're not 100% sure, but it seems like it might have to do with, like, the Ice King, Ice Queen, whatever. Although there's apparently, like, I guess in at least the dream that Fionna was having last episode, an Ice Prince. I'm very, very interested to see how things continue along. I was also notified in the comments last time that apparently Gary's voice has changed again. It's something I wouldn't have, like, I didn't notice because the character is so infrequent anyway. But if you think about it, this actually kind of makes sense. Because think about it this way. Gary, or Prince Gumball, whatever the fuck you want to call him, debuted in the Fionna and Cake stuff as obviously a gender-bent Princess Bubblegum. But that debut was through the lens of a fan fiction. Because Fionna and Cake started off as a fan fiction. It was Ice King reading it to Finn and Jake. And so the entire beginning of that wasn't even real. It was just, you know, Ice King's imagination. And I believe the first VA was Neil Patrick Harris. So then, like, the voice actor ended up changing when the character reappeared. And that was still through, you know, fan fiction stuff. But that kind of makes sense, because Ice King is reciting the fan fiction. So it's like you kind of imagine it as him just doing a slightly different voice, because he couldn't remember what the voice he did for Prince Gumball before was. And I think that's a really fun idea. Like, it also, it just works as a way to explain away the voice change in a fun way that actually makes sense in canon. And on top of that, now there's a new voice for him in this. But this is not a fanfiction anymore, but it is the real world. It's a real universe. So it's like, once again, his voice is different, but this time it's because, like, this is the, like, a real version of him rather than just being told through fan fiction. And so it also still makes sense to have a voice change there. And it's just like, that's just a fascinating way to look at it. But yeah, it was a lot of interesting stuff in the first episode. And I'm very curious as to where this is going to go and how mature it is going to get and so on and so forth. I feel there's a lot of potential here. I feel like the humor is a little wittier and more, again, mature than in the first game. Why did I say game? The first series. And I like that. I think that's going to work a lot here and be part of the charm of this series compared to the original Adventure Time. I'm just wondering what other characters we're going to see compared to the first. I guess we'll just have to watch this and find out. So let's get into this and hope for the best. Hold up just a sec. Before you click that link down in the description below to get to today's video, I want to remind you of all the awesome content we have both on this channel and the Princess of Gaming channel. Let's check it out. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So this is very interesting for a number of reasons, but I'm actually going to start with something that you might not think like, oh, you're starting there. Why are you starting there? Choose Goose. It's on my mind. So in the Wizard City episode of Distant Lands, Choose Goose turned evil. He drank the ichor stuff, and we thought he blew up at first. Well, actually, he was forced to drink it. We thought he blew up at first. We thought he was killed, but he ended up coming back and becoming evil. And so now we see, like, kind of the aftermath of that. And although he seemed like his normal self in the underworld, it's like, I guess, like, maybe he was in, like, I think he was in, like, the lowest level of the underworld, so maybe that was because of this. But we also see here that he's held prisoner by Simon for some fucking reason. We don't actually know why. And through using this spell, like, Simon accidentally kills him, and it's like, oh, maybe that's why he had him, though, for the usage of his power and everything. That would make sense, I guess, but yeah, it's like we actually got a follow up to the Wizard City episode of Distant Lands, and it's like, okay, was not expecting that. Um, it didn't like reveal much, but it kind of places this on the timeline. So the events of this take place at some point after Wizard City. I'm trying to remember as well, based comparatively with the Obsidian episode too, because we saw Adult Finn in Obsidian, and I'm trying to remember. I could look that up. I'm trying to remember what he looked like in that compared to this. I know he had the tattoo. Um, Distant Lands, Obsidian, Finn. Okay. His beard was a lot shorter. He's not wearing the mechanical arm, but that might just be because it looked like he had come out of the shower and stuff at that time. So I mean, that kind of tracks with that. Um, I assume Obsidian happened like, I don't know, like a bit of time beforehand. Because, okay, there's even a picture of him in this here. Because his beard is notably longer with a little, like, tuft at the bottom. His hair is much longer. His hair is, like, short. Fairly short in Obsidian. While it's, like, much, much longer here. Like, more akin to how it had been, like, when he was younger and everything. Though it's, like, it seems a lot bushier. It seems a lot more, like full bodied than when he was, a kid. Um, yeah, it's his hair also looks like maybe it's just because it was wet. I was gonna say it looked like under the towel on his head it might be a little curly or whatnot, but I think it's just because it's wet. But either way, yeah, he's definitely younger, and it's hard to tell by how much. I can't really get a good like take on that. If anybody knows like the exact timeline without like spoiling anything else, I would be willing to like learn about that. Just, don't spoil anything else for the series. Um but it is fascinating cuz this is presumably like at least 10 years after the end of Adventure Time. And we see that like the humans have, I guess, come back into off of the island, and they've now like integrated more into society. Um they've founded their own city, and because they have technology and stuff still, they're able to introduce that more into things as well. So that's fascinating. Um there's a scene also of like Marceline and Bubblegum trying to get matching tattoos, which is super fucking cute. But also, it just not working for either of them, and the tattoo artist getting just pissed is really funny. Um, Marcy can't get a tattoo because her skin just heals over it. Um, though, I don't know if that would technically stop a tattoo from being able to be done. Because it's like people's skin do heal from the initial, damage getting a tattoo does. But it's like, otherwise, the ink is under the skin. That's not like damage to the body. So it's like, would that really be healed? I don't know how that works exactly. But Bonnie can't get a tattoo because it just like the tattoo needle just gets caught up in her gum. And it's just like apparently really funny. Like really funny according to Marcy. But yeah, it's like that was an entirely cute scene. Um but let's talk about like the episode like from a more general standpoint and to get into more with Simon. So this episode does take place in the main Adventure Time universe, which is really fascinating for a number of reasons. And we see that Simon is living in the human city and showcasing through, I guess this is his job and people pay for it and everything. He's showcasing what it was like for him to live in his time period. And so he basically just pulls down the walls on his house and like lets people watch him go throughout a day-to-day life. So that's fascinating for a number of reasons. Professional voyeurism. But in all seriousness, yeah, he's really depressed. He's not having a good time with this. And you would see how, like, he's become very traumatized from the entire Ice King shit and just everything. Losing Betty again. And he's not in a good place. Finn ends up taking him on this adventure to try and cheer him up, to try and help him. Doesn't work, but it's a really interesting little adventure that involves a lot of killing. Like, logically, it's like, yeah, that kind of tracks, but also, Jesus. Like, when Finn just, like, impaled that mud skipper through the mouth, it's like, Jesus fuck. Why is that so graphic? I know they can be graphic now, but wow. The first episode has, like, Fionna stripping and flipping off her boss. And now this episode has graphic blood and violence, and it's like, oh my god. Again, I know this is more of an adult series, but Jesus. It's like, that was a lot more intense than I would have expected. It's just, oh, wow. And it's like later he snaps the bear's neck and everything. And it's like that one wasn't as bad, but it's like also they're eating the mud skipper, and it's like you see like Finn literally taking bites out of the disembodied eyeball, which for some reason he eats like an apple. And it's just like this is like notably gruesome, right? Like compared to regular Adventure Time, this is like notable levels of like unnerving gruesomeness. It's like I've said it before, but while Adventure Time could obviously push the envelope with a lot and was able to like do some crazy shit, this just feels more, just feels like it's more than just crazy regular Adventure Time craziness. We also got to see TV briefly, Didn't really add much to things, but it was cool to see him. And yeah, it all kind of comes to a head with, you know, Simon performing this ritual that creates the portal that allows Cake to come in. Because I was wondering, like, most of the time outside of the mentions of the Fiona and Cake story, which Simon has resentment for, due to both the fact that he doesn't feel like it was him who wrote it, because of him being, as Dirt Beer Guy kind of put it, in a fugue state. But on top of that, um, he just he seems to almost resent it because he's almost jealous of that kind of thing. He's jealous of like Fiona's confidence and strength and everything. So it seems like he's just not doing well. He's just, you know, dealing with a lot of depression and trauma that he's very much not over, despite how many years it's been since the end of the main series. So that's fascinating to me. And this spell at the end is like he's trying to go to like another dimension and stuff. I presume he wants to find like another version of Betty. But I guess I mean I don't know for sure. Um it is it is definitely like one of those types of episodes where like you're watching this, you're wondering like, okay, how is this going to connect? It's obviously going to connect to what we saw last episode. And yeah, it's just we have to wait till the very end with seeing Cake come through. But it's interesting that we didn't get any Fionna in this episode at all. There was nothing to that. I'm assuming the next episode is gonna maybe like tackle that kind of stuff. Um, I'm not gonna like overanalyze the opening. Like we'll just watch it with each episode, but there might be a lot of hints towards stuff in that. Um, Various characters were shown in it, so we'll see how it ends up going. But yeah, this was really fascinating because like there's a lot of questions, a lot of things that are definitely brought up here. And I also I love how going back to Evil Choose Goose, I love how he's just a dick. Like that's just all he is. He's not actually doing anything, mind you. He's in a cage, but like if he has like magical powers and all, and is able to fuel this spell that Simon was doing, you would think he would be able to get out of there. I guess not. But yeah. That was an interesting aspect to this. I'm I'm very much enjoying this so far. It's just I feel like there's a lot more questions than I'm expecting. Though I will say this is definitely the right level of serialized, because it's like this felt like obviously almost a different thing because of the lack of focus on following up what happened last time. But at the same time, it still felt like it was like continuing off of things. And with the connection coming in at the end with Cake and everything, it's like, oh, well there's our like connecting point. I know what I mean. Hopefully you do as well. And so yeah, it's like it all comes together. It's just a matter of seeing what leads to that. Um I enjoyed this though. I enjoyed getting to see a follow up on the main series and even Distant Lands. I enjoyed getting to set up more for what's to come. And so it looks like Simon's probably going to be a major character considering how this episode was handled. If like we're getting an entire second episode dedicated solely to him, that implies to me that he's going to be kind of like the deuteragonist of this season, at least. I don't know about the series as a whole, but at least the deuteragonist of this season. So I'm curious to exactly what kind of role he's going to play, and if by the end the entire idea is going to be him, finding happiness, finding a certain level of peace post Ice King. Because apparently he's like still missing that. He's still missing like being Ice King, which is wild for a number of reasons. Considering it's like that was like almost kind of like hellish for him for so long without him even realizing. But yeah, you would think he would want nothing to do with that, but the idea is that he had a sense of normalcy. He had a sense of like knowing who he was, and now he doesn't really have that. So it's understandable. It's just anyway. Tell me what you thought of this second episode of Fionna and Cake down in the comments below. If there's anything I missed, feel free to tell me as long as it's not a spoiler. But all of that being said, thank you so much, as always, for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.